Tenlali Laibasi. Is she here already? Okay.
Okay, it looks like the live stream has begun. So Zafar Sarito, let me know if we should start. You're muted, Bhai.
Yeah, we can start.
All right. Good morning, everyone. It's shortly after 11 a.m. today at Washington, D.C. It's March the 11th. And just 3 days ago, uh, the whole world celebrated International Women's Day. Now, that reminds me of a Chinese proverb often quoted by Mao Zedong. He said, "Women hold up half the sky," implying that men hold up the other 50%. But we know that Chinese statistics are not always reliable, right? So, especially in today's day and age, women, not only are they expected to be the pillar of the family, but they're also expected to contribute to the workforce. So I think it's a lot more than half the sky right now. And in this situation, in this kind of economy, with that added burden, different societies are coping with it differently. Some of them are doing both well, where they are productive members of society economically, and they're also, the family unit is thriving. But in many countries, there are imbalances. In some countries, they are advanced economies where women are prospering in various fields of endeavor, but the family unit is imploding. Populations are imploding. In other countries, women are breeding like hamsters, but they are economically, socially, politically, and even domestically oppressed. They almost have no personality of their own. Today, we will focus on the Af-Pak region, Afghanistan and Pakistan. And I'll just read out a couple of statistics before I hand it over to the panel of speakers here. Women, Peace and Security Index. It's an often quoted index. It's a very rounded index that goes beyond averages, national averages that really mask a lot of the problems. So the WPS index ranks Pakistan as 167th out of 170, just 3 up from the bottom. And what it says is that there are very low levels of financial inclusion for women. It stands at about 7% for Pakistan, which interestingly is marginally lower than even Afghanistan. That was a bit of a shock to me. So even though generally speaking, Pakistan is a little better, in terms of financial inclusion, that means control of money, they're even lower than Afghanistan. While literacy rates for women in Pakistan are, depending on who you ask, it's in the 30s or 40%. The actual average number of years of schooling for women there is under 4 years. That means they're barely literate. The employment rate for women is 21%. And there's a whole slew of discriminatory social norms, but also legal frameworks that discriminate against women, especially starting from the Zia-ul-Haq era. High indices of domestic violence in Pakistan as well. Now, someone sitting in Lahore might say that, these statistics, they look very dubious. I live in Pakistan. That's not what I see when I speak to some of my Pakistani friends. But another thing brought out by the WPS index here is that the lowest ranking provinces in Pakistan performed almost 4 times as poorly as Pakistani Punjab. So like in almost everything else, it's almost like 2 countries. There's Punjab, and then there's the rest of Pakistan. And the disparity is massive. So that's something to keep in mind. As far as Afghanistan, it's something we've come to expect. Afghanistan is ranked 170th, the last. Or if you take the UN Gender Inequality Index, they're 157 out of 162. So pretty close to last over there as well. Not more than 2 years of average schooling as far as women are concerned. Financial inclusion just marginally better than Pakistan at 7.2%. Country also ranks amongst the highest for gender-based violence. 35 out of every 100 women have been exposed to violence at the hand of an intimate partner. Serious violence. Now, what are the reasons? What I'm looking to understand from the panelists is, what are the reasons for this? I mean, is it are there cultural reasons? People say that, well, it's part of a South Asian problem, but we see that in India, the situation of women is quite a bit better than both Pakistan and Afghanistan, and it's only getting better with a bunch of government schemes meant to promote female literacy and employment. So the trend in India is not worsening, it's getting better. So why is it that in Pakistan and Afghanistan it's worsening? Some people say, well, it might be the effect of Islam. It's Islamic society that's responsible, but we see that the numbers in neighboring Iran, even Saudi Arabia or other countries like Malaysia, they're Muslim countries, they're doing far better than Pakistan and Afghanistan as well. So what are the reasons? Are there geopolitical reasons? In Afghanistan, that's obvious. There was the Soviet. There used to be a time just 2 generations ago where even in India, people would look to Kabul and Tehran as fashion capitals. They were a hip place to be. And then the Russian invasion happened and everything went to bits. And then there was the jihad. And then after the Russians left, Pakistanis continued to sponsor terrorism in Afghanistan, to convert it into a vassal state. So in Afghanistan, that's kind of understandable, the geopolitical reasons. Trafficking of women, apart from drugs and other things, is a major source of funding for the Taliban. Trafficking of women, either as brides or the flesh trade, and sometimes their interpretation of Islamic law is such that it's hard to tell the difference. But most importantly, I'm interested in understanding ideological reasons. I mentioned Ziaul Haq earlier. So in about 1979, he brought in the Hudud ordinances, which drastically reduced the constitutional rights of women across Pakistan. What that tells me is that not just at the grassroots level in the villages and in the provinces, but even at the highest levels of the Pakistani establishment, there are people who believe that women don't deserve a lot of the rights that we take for granted in other societies. And I'm interested in understanding the thinking behind that and the role that that has played both in Pakistan as well as in Afghanistan, which they have converted into a kind of a laboratory of an Islamic state. So I will hand it over now to the speakers. There's a saying in Sanskrit, Yatra Naryastu Pujyante Tatra Ramante Devataha, where women are honored and where they feel fulfilled, there the gods themselves play, or the gods themselves are present. So to understand what that means, what it means for fulfillment, and what the situation in Af-Pak is and the reasons behind that, I hand it over now to the speakers. Thank you, everyone, and welcome.
Thank you, Kaul Bhai. And I will just give the welcome note to the speakers and beautiful minds sitting here. Then I think I will hand over to the Paruji so she can go ahead with the rest of program, because our main focus was to listen the coverages and activists who are doing such fabulous job, not only for them, but for everyone and for betterment of these societies. Long live Sindhu Desh, long live Saint GM Sayed. Today on International Women's Day 2023, topic worsening condition of women in Afghan Pak region. Hello and namaskar to everyone from Zafar Sahto, GSN Freedom Movement. Oh, women, utilize your Vedic intellect in all directions of our home. Home means world. That is the beauty of our Vedas, our history and our culture, when the woman was our goddess and still we have. That's the beauty of Sanatana Dharma. In other place, that these lines were from Atharva Veda 14.164. At other place, it is O pure and blessing mothers, O pure and blessing mothers, cleanse us all from sins, immorality, and pollution. Purge us from falsehood, hatred, jealousy, frustration. That is from Yajurveda 6:17. With these lines from our Vedas, I am welcoming all of you, sisters, friends, mothers, my heroes, not only you, but all women, girls, they are coming out of their comfort zone and not only standing for themselves, but standing for the betterment of the society, standing and speaking courageously for everyone. Of course, the topic worsening situation, worsening condition of women who are already suffering in men-dominated society. But more than that, when it comes to fundamentalism, radicalism, theocracy, in the regions where we are going to focus today, so we can have idea that in such closed society, how a woman is surviving. As Callbhai gave the statistics, I want to add just one more thing that as per one of United Nations report, every woman, a girl, out of 10, the ratio is 7. Either they are suffering because of their nutritions, either they are suffering because of domestic violation, either they are suffering from basic health needs. So out of 10, 7 women in Afghan Pak region, they are going through a hell. I think I will listen to you all beautiful minds, because a woman can understand and can explain and share the pain and agony of other women fellows in womanhood. International Women Day, more than I think Women Day, it is a feminine day, because in our history, in our culture, in our Sanatana Dharma, there is no difference or label of men or women, but men and women are equal parts, equal society, where we have worshipped our women. My mother, she is my goddess. She gave me birth. My sister, she feeded me. She is my goddess. So in this society, which was so beautiful, if we look 10,000, 15,000 years back, when around the world there was no knowledge or not a society which had a woman role. In those times, Are not we lucky that we belong to such beautiful culture and history and the society where all cradle is starting? So I think it is our duty, not the world duty, it is our duty, and especially the women they are representing around the world, like all of you, to bring out that beauty of our culture, history, and societies we lived. On this note, I will welcome Dr. Naila Kadri. She is going to join with us shortly. Sarah ji, she will also join us shortly. Manga ji, welcome. Laiba Yousafzai, she is a Pashtun journalist. She is also joining with us shortly. Welcome Purnama ji and Dipti Mahajan ji, welcome. Shweta Singh, Richa Gautam ji, Shobha ji, Jia ji, Paru ji, and Shakila Kaur means sister. So she is also going to join. So I welcome you all on GSN Freedom Movement platform. And I'm really thankful to you for joining us to understand, to elaborate on our rich and historical Sanatana Dharma and the role of women. And yeah, I will learn from you. Namaskar. Thank you to the Paruji.
Namaste, everyone. And thank you for joining on this day to commemorate International Women's Day that was held a few days ago. And we have an August panel over here. And without much ado, we will go ahead and listen to our speakers who have had impact on our societies, are continuing to shape public opinion and influence many others around them. Each of their stories and their struggles are unique, and they will provide a perspective on how they hope to uplift women in society and give them a voice so that there are no women left behind or in the shadows anymore. So I believe our first speaker was supposed to be introduced by Shakila ji. Is Shweta ji online? Otherwise, we can move to Richa ji. Let me know, Safar ji.
No, you can go ahead.
Okay. So our first speaker is Richa Gautam ji. Richa ji has been involved in grassroots activism for quite some time now. She is the executive director of CARES Global and founding member of our group, Women Against Radicalism and Rape, or WAR for short. She works with minority persecution and human rights issues and civilizational studies and civic engagement in USA. So with much ado, welcome, Richa ji. Please share your thoughts on International Women's Day activism upliftment in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Paraji. Am I audible? Wonderful. Thank you. And yes, I'm very, very happy and honored to be part of this August panel and to open the comments, actually. I have, heard Carl G and Zafar G, and I think they have already presented so many statistics. I'm sorry, I'll be boring you with some more, but I think these are going to probably highlight some of the issues that are facing us today as part of, as the founder of Women Against Radicalism and Rape, along with Paroji. We started this organization when Chanda Maharaj was picked up, a little girl, a minor girl who was abducted and married off to an older man. And then when her parents protested a lot in the court, she was brought back, but into a shelter home, and she was not allowed to go back to her parents, because now she's a Muslim, so she will probably languish in the shelter house until until she turns 18, basically. So this is the sad story of women and little girls in Pakistan. No wonder they don't study, because they're scared to go to school once they hit that age when these predatory men are hanging around schools. Now I want to talk about not about Afghanistan, because Afghanistan, I feel, is like already they have removed their minorities as much as possible. There is no need to talk about minority rights or women's rights there, because we have seen the images that come out of Afghanistan of women being whipped, and the way they have to keep protesting for their rights. Pakistan also, we all are very familiar with that statistic of 3 girls being picked up every single day. But I'm going to talk today about the mindset, the Af-Pak mindset, and how it is traveling across the world as immigration grows, as refugee issues grow around the world. And that is what war is going to look into eventually. The organization or the collective, women's collective that we are forming. And I welcome each one of you to join us. I want to talk about the fact also that, Mia Mittu was recently sanctioned after an APP FORB conference that we did in UK, which I was part of. And but he was sanctioned by UK. But what about what's going on in UK? In United Kingdom at this time, 20,000 girls, little minor girls, again from school, are picked up every single year, and they are drugged and gang raped, and they are being used, and there is no real support for them in the system in UK. These are gangs of Pakistani men, and 809 men were recently caught by the police, and they are gangs. They operate in every part of UK. It could be in Huddersfield, it could be in Bristol, it could be in Leeds, it could be in Derby, everywhere. They operate in gangs, and they target vulnerable women, little girls. And in the name of multiculturalism, this is going on without real redressal. Recently, there was a Muslim man of about 18 years who raped a 13-year-old girl, and he was allowed to walk free because it was illegal, because his upbringing as a Muslim did not teach him that. And that we are seeing on a day-to-day basis. I want to travel to Sweden. Sweden actually also has a high rate of rapes as immigration has grown from Afghanistan and Pakistan. And what used to be like less than 1,000 rapes, even 500, 800 rapes before 2000, after immigration started, it became closer to like 5,000, 7,000, and the numbers keep growing, right? And I'm also going to read some statistics from Turkey. I mean, that Turkey is supposed to be a much less radical country if you're looking at upbringing in Afghanistan. In 7 women, 2022 alone, by their lovers and spouses, who obviously claim to, be their friends or family. So these are alarming numbers, and they indicate there's a rising trend of violence globally targeting women, and it is all due to some radical thinking. So I want to now travel to India, back to South Asia, before I finish my talk, which is in India, the concept, like I said, is known by different names in different places. We know it as grooming gangs in UK and just rapes in Sweden. But in India, it's called love jihad, right? When men are openly abducting women and seducing them, and the pattern and the playbook is the same. What they're doing is the same. They are targeting minor girls, they're seducing them, and then they're drugging them, and then they're raping them, and then they're taking pictures in compromised positions many times, and then that cycle continues of predatory proselytization. This is a major issue in India, and I have, along with Dr. Umendra Ratnu, recorded some cases of love jihad where murders happen. And I think VHP also came up with a report which said that 400 women were abducted or seduced in love jihad after 2009 until 2022. I feel that number is very underreported. In UK, if that number is 20,000 and the population there is much lower, I think it's about a 6 or 7 crore. If you look at the population there, 60 million, 7 million, I think. We are looking at a billion plus population. Obviously, there's number of jihad cases over 15 years, really lower. When we of girls seduced in love jihad, what we found is that, again, these are only newspaper reports, but what we found is after every third week, the girl who has been seduced in love jihad is murdered. We've seen the suitcase case, we've seen the refrigerator case, and we have seen, Nikita Tomar being murdered in broad daylight, and many other cases that have caught media attention at this time. Luckily, in India, the media is reporting these cases. The government is not. We actually have to make sure, if we have an organization like WAR, should make sure that this sort of awareness grows across other countries as well. I think Sweden has done some good job, a good job there. But we need to make sure that this becomes a topic to highlight at a time when we are being targeted for caste and other woke issues, when nothing really exists. The skeletons from the closet of the people who keep targeting us really need to come out, and we need to start talking and deflecting that negative energy to real issues like this random violence that keeps happening against women. So on this Women's Day, I want to honor each one of you who's on this panel, and I hope we will all join hands together to take this fight forward. Namaste, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rita Ji. And just one question. What would you say has been the most challenging part in getting the word out there and getting activism to take roots?
Yes, the most challenging thing, I think, is obviously the media has been co-opted. The media is co-opted, even the police is co-opted in many of these situations, and not in the sense co-opted. In India and South Asia, we know of the corruption, in systemic corruption that exists. But in countries like USA, for example, we have seen this broad, campaign of police defunding. And I mean, it's a whole different topic, but that, along with media, co-opting of the media, purchasing of the media, has been, I think, the single or the dual, reason that these issues don't get highlighted at all.
Thank you for sharing that. Zafarji, is Shakila available for introducing the next speaker? And is it okay if I switch the orders a bit? Oh, there's Shakila. All right, you're on mute, so go ahead.
Am I on mute still?
Now you're good.
Okay. Let's see here. I think I'm introducing our next young lady, which I had the pleasure to meet. And that will be Manglaji. And we're going to talk about, of course, women today. It's always my favorite subject, being a female myself. And I just heard our last speaker, and she talked about rape and about how Afghan citizens have contributed to that. I have not seen that fact. And I would not like to talk about something that's not a fact yet, because there's a lot of Afghan refugees that are coming to the United States that I'm working with daily, and I have not seen those kind of actions from them. But yet our society is very closed-minded. We've been at 50 years of war, and war contributes to these kind of things, situations. I have seen a rise in violence against women all over the world, not just in a single place that is war-driven. Here in Houston, on a daily basis, every single night outside my apartment, I hear gunshots. This is Houston, Texas, United States of America. This is not Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, I did not feel this. In Afghanistan, every night, I didn't hear gunshots. I did not tell my daughter, when you go outside the house, make sure you have a gun. My daughter, as a matter of fact, a few days ago told me, Mom, if there's a zip tie around your car on the window, make sure that you just get in the car and go. And I just kind of felt, why is she telling me that? And I said, Iman, why are you telling me this? And she said, because that means you've been targeted by the sex industry and they'll kidnap you. And I said, are you joking? She said, no, I'm not joking. All of my friends are telling me this. And a few years ago, a 15-year-old little girl was taken from Cyprus right here in Houston area. And about 15 days later, her parents and the FBI found her downtown Houston in a sex ring with heroin in her system. So women globally, we need to stick together. This is a global issue. This is not an issue just for one part of the world. So let's introduce our next speaker. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. Thank you, Zephyr. You're always doing a lovely thing for our community. And let's get to our next speaker. Thank you so much, everyone.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Namaskar, everybody. Hello, and salam alaikum for everyone. And I'm honored to be here. And Zafarji, I'm very honored. You always include me in giving a message about women and how better we can do in the social context, political context, or as a foundation of the society, as women. As beautifully put, I think I'll first start with acknowledging what Carl Clemens G had presented, all the statistics of what women go through and what the numbers are in the world where women are discriminated, women are politically, literacy, financially, and socially, and trafficking wise, how women have become a target in our communities. And the list doesn't end. And those are the most important factors that we are concerned about and we'll be talking about today. And even I want to now thank Zafarji next, who had brought about beautiful salient points of Sanatana Dharma, what the women's role is in the society, in the family, as a community, as a mother, in every role we can think of, and the beautiful aspects of women's role in Sanatana Dharma. I couldn't appreciate Zafarji for bringing up those and reminding us our values that comes age-old traditions. With that said, and then I want to thank Parvaji for making some beautiful comments about why it is important for women to be on important platforms and express our opinions, and just not express opinions and the unity. And even Shakila ji has touched why it is important for women to have that unity. I was just a couple of days ago reading an article about how a brain works for a man and a woman. And that I thought was very interesting. Let me just share a few things that I really liked about that article. The way the man's brain works is they're all compartmentalized, and once they are on one issue, they're just focused on that issue. And that's how their brain works, and that's how they best bring their effort and performance. Whereas when women were tested, I think even while asking a certain question on a certain issue, on a certain area of their brain, the rest of the parts of the brain were also activated. And that shows to prove, and the researchers say, women's brain works in such a phenomenal way that it quickly, while listening and working on certain issue, it quickly capsules other parts of the brain and how things work and how the brain connects different parts of the brain and bring that information and how they connect. And some jokes were made about women, why they always remember other issues when they talk about one particular issue. I think that's the reason why women are anatomically and physiologically made very superior by God. So we are not fighting to be equally standing on the same platform with men, but physically and by creation of God, by his design, we do have our own phenomenal way of doing things, and we stand apart and we complement men. If women are the foundation of the society, men are the roof. They are the ones that provide protection and keep us safe, like we are in a home. Like women provide the foundation and the pillars of the home. We are not competing with each other, but we are complementing each other. I think every woman must acknowledge that we are not trying to have that equality, but we are only complementing. With that said, some of our speakers today had mentioned how women are discriminated and women are the target of crimes. And Richa ji has given so much of information about what happens, how women are treated and what kind of crimes are done against women. Women and children are often the first victims in the society of any evil. So our responsibility is toward women and children. With the example that I gave you, how our brain works and why women are the foundation. Every woman has this phenomenal ability to become to be a foundation and a pillar. That's the reason why each woman, instead of being that strong link by herself, every woman, as Richa ji and Paroji and Shakila ji has mentioned, we need to come together as a unity and as a chain. By ourselves, we stand alone, strong. Definitely, we are all strong women and we can make things happen. But it is in today's world, depending on which situation and which society you're in, it is just not enough for us to be a strong individual woman, but we need to come together as a chain so that we can address the issues, global issues that women are facing today. Let's talk about discrimination. Are we treated equally and fairly in education? In some parts of the world, yes. In some of the world, in Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh, no, we are not. We are not treated. And let us also focus on how women are discriminated. And this discrimination is not based on which part of the world you are living in. It is the mindset of the people. We need to start thinking about the root cause of the issues that we are facing in today. rather than just facing on the symptoms. These discriminatory factors and the issues are just the symptoms. Let's go to the root cause. It is the mindset of the people. We are not weaker section of the community. We are the strongest emotionally and may not be physical, but emotionally and mentally, we are very strong. Therefore, it is on us to start coming together to address these issues. When you talk about discrimination, let's talk about what happens in here in the United States. Aren't women being discriminated? And let's talk only about our Asian community. And Zafar ji had quoted, and Clement ji has also quoted from Sanatana Dharma, some shlokas, that women are the pillars. But truly, in our own communities, are women treated equally? If we cannot be treated in our own community as the equals and with respect in a political platform or a literacy, or when it comes to social and trafficking, we are not addressing our own issues. For example, I don't want to quote somebody else's experience. I want to quote my own experience. Somebody in my political campaign, after my campaign was done, they called me and said, Mangaji, do you know, after a few months, do you know why people did not come out and vote for you during the primaries? I said, I think I know, but I'm more curious to know from you. They said, when he asked, when this gentleman who is a friend of me and a strong supporter of me asked a few people in the community, and they are supposed to be the community leaders. They asked, they said, oh, that South Indian Brahmin woman. So how many discriminating criteria did I see in that one small sentence? That is the state of our own community that we are living in. And today, go look at the participants list. How many men are there? I wish there are more Zafar Sahitos and Carl Clements who would be on these platforms to honor women. We must end amongst our own self, for our own betterment, for our own dignity, that we stop this kind of discrimination of regional feelings. And somebody has touched the caste. Shakila ji, Richa ji has also touched on the caste discrimination. We must end amongst ourselves this caste discrimination. I have never seen myself from who or where I come from. I am a woman of substance, a Sanatana Dharma woman who has the courage to stand up for the community, for our people, for what is good for our future generations. That's what is our role. Our role just doesn't end doing things individually. I see such wonderful, strong women on this platform. I am amazed, and thanks to Zafarji again for bringing all of us on the platform. It is just not once in a while that we see here on such platforms. I want us all to form as a coalition of strong women who will represent other women globally. That should be our role. That should be our focus going forward. We will be working together. We have to be working together in order for us to help weaker women. On this opportunity, I want to really thank the homemakers of our community who are often ignored, who are often never been acknowledged. My mother was a homemaker. My mother-in-law was a homemaker. If I did not get the values from my mother, who was a homemaker, not focused on me, I would have not been who I am today. And so we are all giving these values to everybody. And therefore, let us acknowledge all the homemakers, all the mothers and sisters in the world. Like Zafarji said, they are our goddesses. They are our role models. And thanks, and let us be together. Unity is our strength, and let's work together as a single chain. We will, from today, refuse to be the strong one independent link, but we will all become a chain of strong links to tackle bigger issues and the global issues. Thank you, and keep supporting me, and I'm always here for you. And I wanted to also let you know I got banned from all the social media platforms after I had confronted the Pakistani ambassador. Maybe it can be coincidence, but it's been several months now that I'm banned from all the social media platforms. So I'm always available on my cell phone. Please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always for the women's cause. I'm always for the community. I'm always working for children. It will never stop. Banning me from social media, I challenge whoever has done it. They are not going to stop me. I will be there for my community. Thank you and namaskar. And Jai Mata Di and Jai Ma Durga.
Thank you so much, Mangaji, for an inspiring talk again. And we appreciate your courage. And a couple of things that Mangaji touched on is each of our leadership role is going to be shaped by our individual unique experiences in this world. And there will be times when we may not find the exact same vibration and we may not resonate, but that will be a time to support from behind if you keep by the side, but never to stand in anyone's way, because people's approach to problem solving is going to be tinged with their own experience for their respective communities, and also what the outcomes are expected and how difficult the situation is. So yes, we must always support each other. So our next speaker I'm very happy to introduce is Dr. Shobha Jonkalingam. Did I get that right? Okay. And Shobha ji has been at the forefront of, I would say, political awareness amongst the Indian community. She is an Indian origin doctor in the Chicago area, I believe, and interested in women's well-being. She is interested also in promoting strengthened ties between the US and India and building a more inclusive and peaceful world focusing on women's rights. So without much ado, Shobhaji, the stage is yours for the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Thank you, Paroji. You did great with the name. So thank you on that. And namaskar, everybody. And you know, I feel very blessed, first of all, to come from the land of Sharda ji, who is on the poster, the wallpaper that I have. She is the goddess of Vidya, education. Feel very blessed to come from the land of Sri Durga, who's a personification of all energy, the feminine form of energy, and also the land of Ardhanarishwara. One half is man and one half is woman. I believe it's so unique. I've not yet seen in any part of the world. We are brought up with the teaching and the knowledge that the soul or the Atman is the Jivatma, the drop of divinity inside each one of us, whether we are in the female form or the male form, is beyond that gender. And that's what we are brought up on. And I feel very blessed that I was brought up in Bharat with this Brahma Vidya instilled in us, and of which Sindhu Desh is a part of, because it is there in our India's national anthem, Punjab, Sindh, Gujarat, Maratha. So, you know, Sindh is as Bharat as it can get, and it is the cradle of civilization. And just because the Durand line was drawn, you know, separating India and Pakistan, the culture is started there. And I'm also very humbled and proud to be an American, where, you know, many attempts for a woman to be the president of America, most powerful position in the world has been they're attempted, and probably very soon we should have that, vice presidents who are very, American women, and also from India, where already the leader has been women. So with that perspective, our glances are towards Afghanistan, Pakistan area now in the context of women. And I want to start by saying Pakistan was the riskiest place in the world to be born, as measured by, as a healthcare provider, the neonatal mortality rate in 2016. And it was higher than in Afghanistan, Somalia, Central African Republican countries. 1 in 22 babies born in Pakistan, cut across all cultures, religions, everything. 1 in 22 babies in Pakistan that were born in 2016 died without celebrating the second month of their life. So I want that to sink in. And in healthcare, the maternal mortality rate, or how many mothers die with 100,000 live births, highest in Pakistan, 319 women died in childbirth, as opposed to average of 124 in India, in Congo, in Guatemala, in Kenya, in Zambia. And the neonatal mortality rate, which we saw 49 per 100,000 live births, versus 20 in Congo, versus 20 in Guatemala, Kenya, India. And stillbirths, babies that are born dead, stillbirths, 53 per 100,000 births versus 23 in the remaining countries of similar socioeconomic status. And by every measure, this is because the medical care for pregnant women and their newborns in Pakistan were worse than any other sites. And these are well-published data from medical journals. And this is from undernourishment, from poverty, from poorly educated communities, anemia, and just low birth weight and preterm babies. And to just put this in perspective, because we want to be progressive in terms of solutions, we identify problems only so we can help our women there. So 83% of Pakistani women had no formal education. And that's a very sad thing. And compared to only 12% in other sites combined, this seems to be the overarching reason for poor outcomes. This is in response when Carl Clements-G talked about, I want to understand why this is, because 83% of Pakistan women cannot have formal education. The inter-delivery interval is lower. That means, within 18 months, they get pregnant, next child is on the way. Higher anemia, 81% of Pakistani women are anemic, doubling the maternal mortality rate, and also suboptimal care at every level, even up to the tertiary care levels. And this, we're talking about data, please remember, even prior to the current dynamics that is rocking Pakistan. And, most 52% of deliveries in Pakistan are in non-skilled workers. I could go on a little bit more, but I just want to put in perspective the medical care. And why did I choose maternal mortality rate? How well a country treats its women is seen from how low your maternal mortality rate is, folks. That is a key indicator. It's an objective data. And you can see that I did not even break it down into any religion or area, although of course there are differences between rural and cities, with rural areas like Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Baloch and certain areas in Sindh doing much worse than, say, Karachi or Islamabad. And I want to focus a little bit on why this is so, and go into the recent United Nations judgment focusing on minorities recently, published in January 2023. And United Nations, this is an official statement. It urges the Pakistan government to take immediate steps to prevent and investigate actions on coerced religious conversions, forced child marriages, and also keep in line with domestic legislation and international human rights commissions. This totally dovetails into the data I presented. If the general population of women have such a bad data, what do you think happens when girls as young as 9, 11, 13
Join the meeting.
are abducted? And what is happening is, as an institutional level, the police are working along with the local majority leaders, and they abduct forcefully girls, convert them under threat of violence to the girls or to their families. And they are taken away to faraway, they're trafficked to faraway locations away from home, never to see their parents again. And then they are made to marry men twice their age, coerced to convert into Islam, which is the major religion in Pakistan. And the cycle keeps going on. And these are all steps are in violation of international human rights because there is lack of any access to justice. When the family files, the police refuses to even file an FIR, which is the first investigation report. Or what is even more shocking is there are a lot of universities and academic institutions that are willing to certify that these girls are of marriageable age. A 13-year-old is being certified as being of 18 years of age and hence able to make decisions about who she wants to marry and what she wants to do in terms of conversion. And therein lies the institutionalized harassment and violation of women's rights. And so whenever the family petitions the courts, if by any chance they are able to get through the petition and get the girl back into the courts are in collusion with the majoritarian rule saying these girls are 18 years of age, here is the certificate, and we're saying that they did it out of free will. So the United Nations, there are many rapporteurs who have said that this kind of crime against women in Pakistan is reaching its peak. And so they've asked Pakistan to stop this. And these are Special Rapporteur on Contemporary Forms of Slavery. I want this to sink in. Pakistan, Contemporary Forms of Slavery, and Special Rapporteur Fatima Singate, Sale on Sexual Exploitation of Children. And Ms. Rima Al-Salem, Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Women and Girls, and Ms. Nazila Ghani, Special Rapporteur on Freedom of Religions and Belief, and Mr. Fernand D. Varney, Special Rapporteur on Minority Issues, and of course, Ms. Siobhan Mulally, who is a Special Rapporteur on Trafficking, especially women and children, and Working Group on Discrimination Against Women's Rights. This is a United Nations official statement, folks, and they are pleading with the international community, and mainly Pakistan, please get your house in order. This is the worst way you can treat your minority women and children. My focus is on that because I feel they don't have a voice. There are 6 million to 10 million Hindus in Sindh, Pakistan. There were 18% Hindus in Pakistan in 1947, and now they are down to less than 1.6%, and same with the Christian minorities, down to 1.6% currently. And this is because of several laws. The Hindu Marriage Act is not being implemented, and a lot of the madrasas there are being taught that this is the highest form of jihad. It's even given a name that this is like Hajj-e-Akbari. And the seminaries in Sindh are inciting the Muslim students to convert Hindu girls, stating it is the greatest religious duty for Muslims. And because of that, the Hindu girls from our community are being taken away to barbaric cruelty, and the world is looking on. And I want to complete by paying my very rich tribute, very emotional tribute, by really recalling what 5 or 6 Hindu women girls have gone through. And first is Pooja Kumari, 18-year-old Sindhi Hindu girl. She was a seamstress. She used to be the light of her family and elder sister in the family and looking after her siblings when her parents are away working. The kidnappers, they had been asking her or forcing her to marry, and she had of course refused to convert. And they went into their home during the day while she was taking care of her siblings and forcefully abducted her. When she resisted, they shot her and killed her. So Pooja Kumari, a wonderful 18-year-old, we lost that way. Nina Kohli, a 12-year-old Hindu minor girl, was raped, murdered. Her body was thrown into a well. This happened in March 2022, a year from now. Meera Bhatt, 11-year-old Hindu girl kidnapped from Mirpurkhas, Sindh, converted against her wish, and then married off to somebody even more than 2 times her age. Chanda Mehraj, kidnapped, converted against her wish. And Lali Kachi, she's an already married Hindu woman. She was kidnapped, and because of big time, rallies, the police finally filed an FIR, and then she was returned to her home. However, again, her killer, Ubaidullah, it was not her killer, but the one who abducted her first time, he came back to the house, lifted her off, and then killed her brother, Lalu Kachi, who was trying to fight and rescue her. And the most one for me emotionally was Miss Daya Beal, a married and widowed 45-year-old lady, a mother of 5 children. And she was gang raped. She was kidnapped from her home, gang raped. Her breasts were chopped off. Her skin was peeled. Her head was dismembered from her body. And her skinless head and eyeballs just left next to her body, staring at all of us, asking us, what are we doing to this atrocity? The local radical majority community of Pakistan, they are the ones who abducted her and caused this brutality. And this happened in Sinjiro, Sangar district of Sindh. And we already found the data, 3 Hindu girls and Christian girls are being abducted. But what are we going to do? What is the world doing? And at this moment, I want to say one line about Afghanistan. What is happening in Afghanistan is barbaric. There are veterinary hospitals. The women there, first of all, they stop women from coming to secondary schools, then to workplace, then to higher secondary schools, and then to universities. And now women cannot be examined by anyone other than women for any disease. But then they stopped making any any women doctors, because the women cannot be educated, cannot go to med school in the first place. So then who's going to take care of women, who fall sick? According to me, Afghanistan, the women have been lost into a black hole, folks. This happened right under our nose in the 21st century. And I really want to dedicate to Ms. Torpikai, an Afghanistan woman journalist. She was working for United Nations and had been appealing for safety. Then when she did not get any help from United Nations or any other countries or her American contacts, she, along with 60 people, 2 nieces, the nieces' children, took a boat. She went to Turkey and nobody helped her there from from Afghanistan. She went to Turkey, no help. They all got into a boat to go to Italy, and then the boat capsized. All of them drowned, 60 of them, including Ms. Torpikai. And, then we'll all have some candle march on these folks. But and we know what happens when women are not educated. Women can't have good health, that the maternal mortality is so high. So we are not doing great in Afghanistan, Pakistan. Whether you look at the entire community of women, whether you look at minority women, and I really think this is 50% of their population. And if we don't have strong rights, the United Nations has asked, but nothing has come of it. But I do want to thank Zafarji and Clemensji, but Zafarji for putting this together. I think awareness and speaking up about it. And I do want to say, yes, you might have inner cities here with some gunshots, but let me tell you that because we're sitting in America, we're able to speak. All the women are able to speak. In Afghanistan, the women cannot do any of this. You can't even expose a few hair strands, and they don't even have the right to go to school. And here, women are in the highest offices. And I really want to take the opportunity to thank, a country like America, where we are in and discussing this. And definitely, I feel immensely proud and blessed to be Sanatan Dharma follower and exposed to that. So, with that, I would like to end, and more power to Nari Shakti, Mahila Shakti everywhere. The women should be in leadership positions because we have a compassionate outlook. I think we can be peacemakers to the world. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Shobhaji. That was a power-packed few minutes. You put a lot of information, a lot of heart into it, and I hope people listen to these women speaking on this forum, not just once, but several times, because every time we try to raise our voice, we try to get an issue recognized, it seems like we hit barrier after barrier, and officials are just, disengaged. The amount of aid, the amount of help that needs to get to the women is just not there on a global scale. It's mind-boggling. So I hand it over to Shakila ji to introduce our next respected speaker. Laiba ji, go ahead. Shakila.
Hi, how are you doing? Yes, I would like to introduce Ms. Laiba Yousafzai. She has done a lot of work. She is a writer, a producer. She worked on 4 Pashto channels. She directed. She also, I think, wrote over hundreds of articles in 3 different languages. She's very well known. She's worked with lots and lots of women, just like the rest of the speakers have. I'd just like to note one thing the speaker said earlier. And I recognize that, I worked in a clinic when the refugees first came with a female doctor, and I realized how much medication and just simple things that women needed that out in rural Afghanistan, some women never went to a doctor, and they had 12 children in their home on the floor. I can't even imagine that. It took my breath away when I heard stories like that. Me and Dr. Hyde sat there and we just cried. But, Pakistan, Afghanistan, India, Africa, some parts of the world that I have actually visited, and I've seen women in conditions that just breaks my heart. And Dr. Hyde said one comment. She said, whether you're a Harvard graduate or a woman have been giving birth to a child in Afghanistan at home, we all bleed the same, and we all have the same problems. We all work 8-9 hours, and we come home and we still cook, clean. Anyway, globally, we outnumber men, globally. And we are treated terribly. And our conditions are terrible. And we have, by record numbers, leadership that could change that, and it doesn't. It's very unfortunate. Anyway, let's get our next speaker to come in. Thank you.
Layapaji, whenever you're ready.
या मैं रेडी पता नहीं मुझे समझ नहीं आ रही आप सबका बहुत शुक्रिया जफर साहब का बहुत सब शुक्रिया और मुझे खुशी हो रही है कि मैं बहुत ही बहादुर खवातीन और साथियों के साथ हूँ आपको बताती चलूं कि आपने बहुत तफसील से जो इस रीजन में हो रहा है पाकिस्तान में जितने मसाइल हैं वो डिस्कस तो किए हैं लेकिन कुछ चीज़ों के आपको बताती चलूं शायद आप लोगों ने इस पे गौर किया भी होगा लेकिन यहाँ पे इसको डिस्कस करना ज़रूरी है कि मैं अफगानिस्तान बेसिकली तो हम पश्तून पाकिस्तान में जितने भी हम अफगान हैं एक जबर के लकीर की वजह से हम इस साइड पे हैं वो उस साइड पे हैं लेकिन हमारी सरजमीन को जो एक्सट्रीमिज्म वार एंड टेरर की वजह से हिट किया गया है तो इस वजह से यहाँ पे ख़वातीन जो है उसकी इश्यूज को हाईलाइट नहीं किया गया है वजीरिस्तान में और जितने भी ट्राइबल्स एरिया है देयर आर लैंड माइंस और मोर देन 300 एंड आई थिंक more than 1,000 people are hit by the mines और उसमें से ख़वातीन भी हैं और जो ख़वातीन माजूर हो गई हैं बच्चे और बहुत से जी आवाज आ रही है आप लोगों को
जी 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 Go ahead.
तो उसमें ख़वातीन जो हैं बहुत ज्यादा हिट हुई हैं बच्चे और ना सिर्फ माजूर हुए हैं बल्कि बहुत से लोग उसमें उन हादसों में वो मर गए हैं तो उसमें रिसेंटली एक हमीदा बीवी के किस्सा था जिसके एक टांग जो है वो उड़ गई थी तो उसके फादर किस्सा सुना रहे थे मुझे कि काश के इस हादसे में मेरी बेटी मर जाती क्योंकि अभी वो सारी जिंदगी माजूर रहेगी कोई उससे शादी भी नहीं करेगा हुकूमत ने जो वादे किए वो भी पूरे नहीं किए और उसकी तालीम भी पूरी नहीं हुई तो वो सारी जिंदगी अपने बहन भाइयों के ऊपर बोझ रहेगी और मेरे मरने के बाद पता नहीं वो उसका बोझ भी उठा सकेंगे ये सिर्फ एक किस्सा है ऐसे हजारों किस्से हैं जिसको हम लोगों ने रिपोर्ट भी किया है और पाकिस्तानी मीडिया तो खैर आपको पता है जफर साहब को पता है कि हमारी केसेस को ना वो दिखाते हैं ना मसलों को इसी तरह वार एंड टेरर में बहुत सी खवातीन को किडनैप किया गया है बहुत सी खवातीन बेघर हो गई हैं बहुत से बच्चियां जो हैं जो इनको टाइम नहीं दिया गया कि वो इलाकों से खाली करें उस दौरान उनसे उनकी बच्चियां छोटी गोद की बच्चियां जो है वो कहीं गिर गई हैं गुम हो गई हैं एक ये मसला है दूसरा अफगानिस्तान में जो जमहूरियत के टाइम में जो वहाँ पे इस तरह की इंतहा पसंदी के साथ जो उस जमीन को सरजमीन को हिट किया गया है तो वहाँ पे लड़कियों के ऊपर तेजाब फेंका जाता था जब वो स्कूल जाती थी मासूम बच्चियों के ऊपर और अभी तो उन पे मुकम्मल बैन लगाया गया है वो न काम के लिए जा सकती है उनमें ऐसी बहुत सी खवातीन है आपको पता है कि 45 ایئرز وہاں پہ جنگ ہوئی ہے, اور اس جنگ کے حوالے سے بہت سے خواتین جو ہیں وہ ویڈوز بھی ہیں, اور ایسی بچیاں بھی ہیں, یتیم بھی ہیں, جو اپنا خود کماتی تھی, اب وہ گھروں میں بیٹھی اور ان کی زندگیاں بہت مشکل ہے. اس کے ساتھ ان پہ یہ پابندیاں بھی ہیں کہ وہ بغیر محرم کے ریلیٹیوز کے, جو محرم ہو یعنی بردر یا فادر یا ہسبینڈ, اس طرح کے رشتے کے ساتھ وہ باہر نکل سکتی ہے. تو وہ خواتین جو رورل ایریاز ان افغانستان, they can't move for their needs. تو یہ بھی ایک مسئلہ ہے. اور اس کے علاوہ جو ایکسٹریمزم کی وجہ سے ٹرائبل ایریا میں جو اسکول ہٹس ہوئے ہیں, اور جو اسکول لڑکیوں کے جو ہیں وہ ابھی تک وہ بچیاں جو ہے وہ اسکول واپس نہیں جا سکی, ان کی تعلیم جو ہے وہ رک گئی ہیں. تو اس ایشو کو بھی ابھی تک کہیں پہ بھی انٹرنیشنل فورم پہ بھی اس کو ہائی لائٹ نہیں کیا گیا ہے. جو اس سائڈ کے افغان ہیں, اس سائڈ پہ تو ہے ہی ماتم, لیکن اس سائڈ پہ بھی بہت ایشوز ہیں, بہت مسئلے ہیں, بہت پرابلمز ہیں, بہت ٹریجڈیز ہیں جو خواتین فیس کر رہی ہے. اصل میں اگر ہم تاریخ دیکھیں خواتین کی, تو خواتین کو تاریخ میں بھی مذہب کے نام پہ اور جنگوں میں ان کو لونڈیا بنایا جاتا تھا. وہ فیس کرتی تھی چیزوں کو, اپنے بھائیوں کے لاس کو, اپنے ہسبینڈ کے, اپنے بیٹوں کے لاس کو, اس کے بعد ان کو غلام بنایا جاتا تھا. آج کے ماڈرن دور میں بھی وہی چیزیں ہو رہی, لیکن اس کی شکل جو ہے بدل گئی ہے. جیسے ہندو کمیونٹی کے ساتھ کانسٹیٹیوشن میں وہ ہے, اتنا ڈسکریمنیشن ہے کہ ان کی آواز کو کوئی نہیں سنتا. ان کے ساتھ ان کی بچوں کو جیسے کڈنیپ کر کے زبردستی ان کو ریلیجن ان سے کنورٹ کیا جاتا ہے, اور شادی کی جاتی ہے بڑے بڑے عمر کی عمر. اسی طرح اس سرزمین پہ دوسری خواتین کے ساتھ بھی اگر آپ دیکھیں تو ریپ اتنا زیادہ ہو رہا ہے. اچھا, مردان سائڈ پہ یا ان علاقوں میں جن خواتین نے وراثت میں اپنا حصہ مانگے, ان کے اوپر الزام لگا کے بھائیوں کی طرف سے یعنی کریکٹر اسیسنیشن کر کے ان کو قتل کیا گیا ہے, ان کیسز کو نہیں اٹھایا گیا. وہ عدالتوں میں ایسی کیسز پڑے ہوئے ہیں. بہت سی خواتین جو سوات میں تھی یا طالبان کے دور میں, ان کو اسکول سے روک دیا گیا ہے, وہ اسکول نہیں جا سکی, یا ان کی اسکولوں کو بموں سے اڑا دیا گیا ہے. ٹرائبل ایریا میں تو پہلے بچوں کی اسکولز اور یونیورسٹیز تو ہے ہی نہیں, کالج, اور جو اسکول تھے تھوڑے بہت ان کو بھی بموں سے اڑا دیا گیا ہے. ان بچوں کے لیے کوئی پرائیویٹ بھی کوئی ایسی انتظامات نہیں ہے. بہت سی بچیاں جو گھروں میں رہ گئی ہیں. اب پھر بلوچستان کے ساتھ جو متحدہ پشتون علاقے ہیں, وہاں پہ دور دراز میں ابھی آج ایک بندے سے بات کری تھی جس نے اپنی بچیوں کو کلاس 5 تک پڑھایا, آگے نہیں پڑھا سکے کیونکہ وہاں پہ ہائی اسکول سرے سے ہے ہی نہیں. تو پشتون ایریا کو اتنا بیکورڈ رکھا گیا ہے وار اینڈ ٹیرر کی وجہ سے, پاکستان بننے کے بعد, کہ وہاں پہ بچوں کے اسکول تک نہیں ہے. بچوں کو تعلیم کا بنیادی حق جو ہے وہ ان سے لیا گیا ہے. اور یہ جو قانون بنے ہیں اس میں یہ نہیں گیا بنایا ہے کہ ہراسمنٹ کے قانون جو بنے ہیں, تو خواتین کے آپ اگر تعداد دیکھ کے پورے پاکستان کی, ان کو ریپ کیے گئے, ان کو ہراس کیا گیا ہے, ان کو مدرسوں میں ہراس کیا گیا, ان کو کالجز میں, ان کو آفیسز میں, لیکن ان کیسز پر کسی بھی گورنمنٹ کی طرف سے کوئی پراپر ریئیکشن نہیں آیا. ان قانون کو نافذ عمل نہیں کیا گیا ہے. تو اگر آپ قانون کو انفورس نہ کر سکے تو پھر اس قانون بنانے کا کوئی فائدہ نہیں ہے. اس کے علاوہ جو خواتین کے جائیداد کا حصہ ہے, اس میں بھی خواتین کو بہت زیادہ پرابلمس فیس کرنی پڑتی ہے. اور وہ خواتین جو رورل ایریا میں رہتی ہیں یا بیکورڈ فیملیز ہیں, چونکہ پشتون کلچر کو بدنام کیا گیا ہے, یہ ایک سیکولر کلچر تھا, لیکن ایکسٹریمزم کی وجہ سے اور پراکسیز وار کی وجہ سے پشتون کلچر کو اتنا بدنام کیا گیا ہے کہ یہ ان کے کلچر میں تھا کہ خواتین کو اسکول نہ بھیجے. یہ بہت غلط بات ہے, کیونکہ جس وقت تعلیم نہیں تھی, آج سے ہزاروں سال پہلے ہماری تاریخ پڑھی ہوئی ہے کہ ہماری خواتین جو ہے وہ جرگوں میں بیٹھ کے فیصلے سنایا کرتی تھی. تو اس لیے یہ اس کلچر کو بھی ڈسٹورٹ کر رہے ہیں, ہماری ہسٹری کو ڈسٹورٹ کر رہے ہیں. اور اس حوالے سے کہ یہاں پہ کچھ پراکسی جنگیں جو بڑی جو انٹرنیشنل پالیسیز ہیں اس کے حوالے سے جو چل رہی ہے, تو خواتین اس کی وجہ سے بہت زیادہ سفر کر رہی ہیں. وہ اپنی اسکولز میں, کالج میں, ابھی ریسنٹلی سوات میں کالج پہ آرمی نے قبضہ کیا ہوا ہے, اور بہت زیادہ خواتین نے ان کے اوپر پروٹیسٹ بھی ریکارڈ کروائے ہیں کہ آپ ہمارے اسکول اور ہمارے جو کالجز ہیں ان کو آپ خالی کر دیں. دوسری سب سے اہم بات یہ ہے کہ ملائزم یا ایکسٹریمزم کی وجہ سے ہمارے یہاں پہ پڑھے لکھے مرد بھی خواتین کو صرف they think that she is a tool of sex, اس سے زیادہ یا وہ گھر میں اور یا پھر میں اس طرح کا ایک نعرہ لگاتا ہے، جس کے خلاف ہم نے پھر ایک نعرہ نکالا کہ گھر اور خبر نہیں، کام گھر اور کام. خواتین کو بھی اتنا ہی سیاست میں اور آگے جانے میں، سائنس میں، دوسرے جس طرح کے ترقی یافتہ ممالک میں خواتین کو جس طرح موقع ملے ہیں تو وہ اسپیس پہ بھی گئی ہیں، وہ جیٹ فائٹر بھی اڑاتی ہیں، وہ سرجنز بھی ہیں، وہ ہر جگہ پہ ہیں. تو اسی طرح ان ممالک میں جہاں پہ یہ پالیسیز چلتی ہیں پراکسیز وار کی، ان کو بھی موقع دیا جائے کہ وہ بھی انہی خواتین کی طرح تربیت حاصل کر سکے، آگے جا سکے اور وہ سیاست میں حصہ لے سکے، ان کو اپنے قانون کے بارے میں پتا ہو، وہ قانون سازی کر سکے اپنے لیے. اور بہت ضروری ہے کہ وہ خواتین جیسے اس فورم پہ ہمارے ساتھ موجود ہیں، ہماری جتنی بھی بہنیں ہیں، اس طرح کی جو اسٹرانگ خواتین ہیں وہ اویئرنیس کے لیے کام کر بھی رہی ہیں اور کرنا بھی چاہیے، تاکہ ہمیں خود اٹھنا ہوگا اور ہمیں خود ان خواتین کو یہ حوصلہ دینا ہوگا کہ آپ کے رائٹس آپ کو کوئی نہیں دے گا. بہت کم ظفر صاحب کی طرح مرد حضرات ہوتے ہیں جو خواتین کا ساتھ دیتے ہیں، وہ آٹے میں نمک کے برابر ہوتے ہیں، لیکن میجورٹی جو ہے جو بہت سیکولر بھی بنتے ہیں، وہ بھی جب خواتین کی بات آتی ہے تو وہ عورت مارچ کے اوپر ایسی باتیں کرتے ہیں کہ میرا جسم میری مرضی سے. ان کی مراد یہ ہے کہ یہ کریکٹر اسیسینیشن پہ آ جاتے ہیں اور اس معمولی سی بات کو نہیں سمجھتے. اس حوالے سے بھی خواتین کو بہت زیادہ ہراس کیا جاتا ہے کہ یہی خاتون ہے کہ یہ میرا جسم میری مرضی والی جو ہے وہ کہ
Somebody is screaming. I would request other people to just mute the mic who are not speaking.
تو جب سے یہ عورت مارچ جب سے پاکستان میں آیا ہے تو آپ نے اکثر ہم تو نوٹ کرتے رہتے ہیں، ہم جب بھی کبھی خواتین کی بات کرتے ہیں تو ہم پہ ملحد، سیکولر اور فحاشی کے الزامات لگائے جاتے ہیں اور کافر کے الزامات لگائے جاتے ہیں. اس حوالے سے جب پشاور میں ہم عورت مارچ مناتے ہیں تو ہم کبھی ان کو گھروں کے اندر مناتے ہیں یا کسی کے گھر میں یا پھر رات کے ٹائم. یعنی ہم اتنا بھی ہمیں 21ویں صدی میں ہمیں اتنا بھی اختیار نہیں ہے کہ ہم جا کے اپنے رائٹس کی بات کر سکے، اپنے بیسک رائٹس کی، ایجوکیشن کی بات کر سکیں، اپنے اکنامک امپاورمنٹ کی بات کر سکے، تعلیم کی بات کر سکے اور تشدد کے خلاف بات کر سکے. جو گھریلو تشدد ہے، جو معاشرے میں، جو آفیسز میں، اسکولز میں، رستے میں جو ہمارے ساتھ ہراسمنٹ ہوتی ہے، ہم اس کے خلاف بات کر سکیں. ہم میں سے جو بھی کوئی اس کے خلاف اٹھتا ہے تو وہ اس کے اوپر کریکٹر اسیسینیشن، ملحد، کافر اور اس طرح کے الزامات لگائے جاتے ہیں. سچویشن جو ہے یہاں پہ اس لیے بھی ورسٹ ہو رہی ہے کہ ریلیجن کے نام پہ، میں یہ نہیں کہتی کہ ریلیجن برا ہے، لیکن ریلیجن کے نام کو استعمال کر کے اور کلچرل اس کو نارمس کو استعمال کر کے یہاں پہ ایکسٹریمزم کی طرف سوسائٹی جا رہی ہے. اور اس ایکسٹریمزم میں تمام خواتین مختلف اینگل سے سفر کر رہی، چاہے وہ عام خواتین ہیں، چاہے وہ ہندو ہیں، چاہے وہ پنجابی ہیں، چاہے وہ پشتون ہیں. لیکن پشتون کا یہ ہے کہ آپ کو پتہ ہے کہ وار زون ہے اور وار زون میں خواتین جو ہے وہ زیادہ ہٹ ہوتی ہے، وہ کلچرل نام سے بھی ماری جاتی ہیں، وہ مذہب کے نام سے بھی اور وہ جنگوں کے نام سے بھی. تو وہ ایٹ اے ٹائم 3-4 محاذوں پہ ان کو ہٹ کیا جاتا ہے. ہمارے جو تحریک پی ٹی ایم، ہم اس میں بھی یہ مطالبہ بار بار رکھ رہے ہیں کہ آپ لینڈ مائنس کو ختم کریں، کیونکہ لڑکیاں وہاں پہ خواتین لکڑیاں اکٹھی کرنے جاتی ہے، پانی بھرنے جاتی ہیں، تو وہ وہاں پہ جب جاتی ہے تو وہ لینڈ مائنس کا بھی ان کو ہٹ کر جاتی ہے اور ان کے اکثر بہت سی خواتین معذور ہو گئی ہیں. بہت سے بمباریوں کی وجہ سے، طالبان کی بمباری کی وجہ سے، فوج کے آپریشنوں کی وجہ سے وہاں لڑکیوں کے اسکولوں پہ کہیں قبضہ ہوا ہے تو زیادہ تر اسکول جو ہے وہ بموں سے اڑا دیے گئے ہیں، جس کی وجہ سے ان بچوں کی جو ہے وہ تعلیم رک گئی ہے. تو ان سب چیزوں پہ ہم لوگ آواز بھی اٹھا رہے ہیں. ہم چاہ رہے ہیں کہ خواتین کے لیے یہاں پہ کام کرے اور ان میں اتنی اویئرنیس آئے کہ اپنے حقوق کے لیے، قانون کے لیے، قانون سازی کے لیے اٹھے. اور یہ جو سوسائٹی میں یا جنگوں کے نام پہ جو ان کے فزیکل اور مینٹل جو ان کے ساتھ ٹارچر ہو رہے ہیں یہ ختم ہو. اور وہ خواتین ایسے علاقے جہاں پہ بم دھماکے ہوئے، جیسے مروت کے گاؤں میں، تو وہاں پہ کوئی مرد ہی نہیں رہا، وہاں پہ صرف خواتین رہ گئی. اور بدقسمتی سے ان خواتین کو نہ کوئی ہنر آتا تھا، نہ کوئی تعلیم، وہ ایسے ہی رہ گئی اور ایک دوسرے سے خیرات زکوٰۃ پہ وہ اپنی زندگی بسر کرنا شروع ہو گئی. اسی طرح چارسدہ میں ایک علاقے میں رپورٹنگ کرنے گئی، وہاں پہ عید کے دن بم دھماکے میں ایک ہی مسجد میں اس ایک محلے کے سارے مرد جو ہے وہ ان کو قتل کر دیا گیا اور پھر وہاں اس گھر میں کوئی بھی مرد نہیں رہا. یہ قصہ جو ہے پشتون ایریا میں ہر کوئی گھر ایسا نہیں ہے جہاں پہ مسنگ پرسن نہ ہو, ایسا کوئی گھر نہیں ہے جہاں پہ کوئی جنازہ نہ اٹھا ہو, اور ایسا کوئی گھر نہیں ہے جہاں کے ان کے بچے جو ہے اسکول یا کالج میں ان کو ہراس نہ کیا گیا یا ان کی اسکول اور کالج کو بموں سے نہ اڑایا گیا ہو. ایون پشاور بھی آپ کو پتہ ہے کہ باچا خان یونیورسٹی کو ہٹ کیا گیا ہے. آپ کو پتہ ہے کہ زراعت جو ایگریکلچر جو ہاسٹل ہے لڑکوں کو, اس کو ہٹ کیا گیا ہے. اے پی ایس کے جو ہے 150 سے زیادہ بچوں کو قتل کیا گیا ہے. تو ہمارے تو اسکول بھی اس پہ ٹارگیٹڈ ہیں, خواتین بھی ٹارگیٹڈ ہیں. خود 2015 ٹو 2016 سوشل میڈیا پہ میرے پیچھے مذہب کے نام سے اور ایجنٹ کے نام سے اتنا پروپیگنڈا کیا گیا کہ میری زندگی کو خطرے میں ڈالا گیا. اگین ٹویٹر اکاؤنٹس پہ کچھ لوگوں نے میرا ایک اکاؤنٹ فیک بنایا ہے, میری تصویر لگا کے اس کے اوپر دوبارہ سے پروپیگنڈا کر رہے ہیں. مطلب یہاں پہ وہ خواتین جو دوسری خواتین کے حق کی بات کرتی ہے, اس کو یہ حق بھی نہیں دیتے کہ وہ خواتین کے حق کی بات کرے. اس کے اوپر ڈفرینٹ لیبلز لگائے جاتے ہیں اور اس کو ہراس کیا جاتا ہے, اس کی آواز کو ختم کر دیا جاتا ہے. تو ان سب باتوں کے لیے ہم سب کو مل کے, اور یہ بہت ضروری ہے کہ ہر ملک سے خواتین اٹھے, اور پھر ہم سب خواتین ایک سسٹرہوڈ کے شکل میں ایک ایسا وہ کانفرنس بلائے, ایک ایسے سیمینارز کرائیں کہ ایک دوسرے کو ہاتھ دے تاکہ ہم اسٹرانگ ہو سکے, اور مل کے جو ہے اپنے اپنے علاقوں میں ان تمام ہراسمنٹ, ان تمام ایکسٹریمزم کے خلاف جو ہیں, اور خواتین کے جو ڈسکریمنیشن ہے اس پہ کام کر سکیں. ایسا بھی ہے کہ خواتین کی اس دن میں نے 8 مارچ کو خواتین رائٹس پہ, چوائس میرج پہ ایک آرٹیکل لکھا جس پہ مجھے اتنی گالیاں دی گئی کہ آپ آزادی چاہتی ہے, آپ چاہتی ہیں کہ مطلب کریکٹر اسیسینیشن پہ بات آ گئی. حالانکہ میں نے اس پہ ریلیجن کی بھی مثال دی تھی کہ ریلیجن بھی یہ حق دیتا ہے, انٹرنیشنل قانون بھی دیتا ہے, جو نیشنل ہے وہ بھی یہ دیتا ہے, ہمارا کلچر سماج بھی یہ حق دیتا ہے کہ ایک خاتون سے بھی اس کی رائے, اس کی مرضی کا معلوم کیجیے. لیکن آج تک مرد جو ہے اس بات کے لیے تیار نہیں ہے کہ وہ جو جائز, جو لیگل رائٹس ہیں خواتین کے, جو بیسک رائٹس ہیں, وہ اس کو ایکسیپٹ کرے. وہ خواتین کو انسان ہی نہیں سمجھتے, وہ اس کو عزت بھی دیتے ہیں. تو ایک سسٹر, مدر, وائف اور اس طرح کے رشتے بنا کے اپنے ساتھ جوڑ کے وہ اس کو رسپیکٹ دیتے ہیں بحیثیت بینگ اے ہیومن بینگ. اس کو رسپیکٹ نہیں دیتے, نہ ایکول ٹرم پہ اس کو ٹریٹ کریں. یہ وہ چیزیں ہیں. لوگ جو ہیں آگے کی طرف جاتے ہیں, لیکن پاکستان میں ہم لوگ بہت پیچھے کی طرف جا رہے. آپ بلوچ خواتین کی مثال لے کے ان کے ساتھ کیا ہو رہا ہے, ان کو اب خواتین کی جبری گمشدگیاں ہو رہی ہے, خواتین کی جو چھوٹی بچیاں ان کو بھی ساتھ لے کے جا رہے ہیں, کس طرح ان کو قتل کیا جا رہا ہے, کس طرح ان کی آواز کو ختم کیا جا رہا ہے, ان کو بند کیا جا رہا ہے, ان پہ تشدد کیا جا رہا ہے, ان کو جیلوں میں ڈال رہے ہیں. تو یہ یہاں پہ جو ہے جو سندھی خواتین کو آپ دیکھیں ان کے ساتھ کیا ہو رہے ہیں, جو اپنے رائٹس کے لیے بات کرتی ہیں, یا جہاں پہ اپنی جو ہندو کمیونٹی جو خواتین کے لیے بات کرتی ہے ان کو کس طرح ہراس کیے جا رہے ہیں. یہ یہاں پہ یہ چیزیں, یا پنجابی خواتین یا سندھی یا پشتون, جتنی عورت مارچ کے حوالے سے جب ہم اکٹھے ہوتے تو اس حوالے سے بھی سب پہ جو ہے فحاشی کے لیبل لگا کے ان کی آواز کو بند کیا جا رہا ہے. میرے خیال میں ہمیں ایک ساتھ یونائٹڈ ہونا چاہیے, اور ہمیں اس کے لیے جو ہے انٹرنیشنل لیول پہ قانون سازی کی بات کرنی چاہیے, جو ان حکومتوں پہ وہ اتنا پریشر ڈالے کہ عورت جو ہے ایکول ٹرم پہ رائٹس دے, اور اس کو سوسائٹی میں جینے کا حق دے, اس کو بریدنگ کا حق دے. بہت شکریہ.
بہت بہت دھنیہ واد لائبہ جی. And I think it was very hard to listen because I think we are acutely aware that America, which claims to be at the forefront of human rights, is making a conscious decision to absolutely ignore what's going on in Afghanistan, what's going on in the Pashtun and Baloch communities in Pakistan, what's going on with the Hindus in Sindh. And we need to be more vigilant and more proactive in holding our government accountable, because there's tons of money that is going into aid to Pakistan and aid to Afghanistan, and they're not reaching the vulnerable women, children, minorities that are suffering there. So yes, it is great to hear the voices of these brave women, but we have to be able to come up with actions that's going to really translate to the next level. Taking a break, I would like to now introduce Purnima Nath. And Purnima ji is a fighter, and that's an understatement. She has an inimitable style of taking on people that challenge our voices. And she's an author and a nonprofit founder and creator of popular ethnic festivals in Wisconsin. She writes on local and global issues encompassing geopolitics, religion, national security, and foreign affairs. She has actually also fought for public office in Wisconsin. So anything that is required in terms of public engagement, Purnima Nath has done that and been there. And I'm privileged to work with her on various projects. And without much ado, Purnima ji, you have the floor for the next 5 to 10 minutes. Please lend us your voice.
Thank you so much, Parji. My pleasure. Thank you, Zafarji, for including me in this esteemed panel. It was lovely hearing from so many wonderful speakers, but also heartbreaking from a perspective of statistics. I will frame my conversation in 4 different ways. First of all, from a perspective of immigration, lack of understanding of religious hegemony, lack of understanding in terms of cultural assimilation, and also the role of West, and then finally, who I am as a person. So I'll start from the end point. I'm actually super proud that I was born as a Hindu in a Hindu family in the land of Hindutva. And I call it proudly Hind. And we have a goal and a campaign going on to promote Hind and Hind's civilization, as well as its heritage, history, tradition, culture, from socio-political and cultural aspect. So from that, I have to tell you that in 1966, we have had a prime minister who was a woman. After 56 years, America, the superpower, is still trying to fight and figuring out as to how to elect a woman president in the country. But I have to also stress the aspect of merit and capability. I want a president, I want a woman president who's capable, not based on the gender, not based on the identity politics. So taking that on, I have to tell you, I hope this message goes to everybody who's tirelessly attacking the Hindus, the Hindutva, and the land of Hindutva, which is India. It's so giving you some statistics. In Afghanistan, 2001, there were 0 children, 0 girls and women went to school and were educated. 2021, the number was 1.1 million. 2023, the number went down to 0 again. So when somebody says politics doesn't matter, I want to loudly say that, does politics matter? Yes, it does. And if you will see, recently, the girls were stopped to go to schools. The women were banned from universities. And if you remember, back in the days, pre-Taliban statistics or Pew Research, 99.7% Afghani Muslims have favored to implement Sharia law in the land. And this is what we are going to see again and again. In Iran, after Mahsa Amini protest, 488 were killed, including children, women. 64 minors as well were killed. 19,266 were arrested. So far, in their protest against hijab, 3,000 people killed, 20,000 arrested as young as 16. When Iran fights hijab, when the women fights hijab and the security forces are unleashed against them to wear proper hijab. The same context, India's politicians and feminists are pushing hijab in schools and colleges. The hypocrisy is something that we must note over here. In Pakistan, 3 non-Muslim Hindu Christians a day either raped, converted, married off to grandpa men, Muslim men. And somebody was saying they didn't know what was happening in terms of Afghan refugee here in United States. The data was not there. So I quickly pulled 3 data for you. September 2021, you will see a report from FBI. A female service member was assaulted by Afghan refugee. It was in Texas, El Paso, Fort Bliss. September 2021, you will see another report of Toma, Wisconsin, where 13,000 Afghan refugee and immigrants were housed. There were 2 Afghans were attempting sexual assault of children and for physical abuse. The third one you will see in October 2021. It is in Montana. Afghani immigrants were unabated. It was literally no vetting process, and Biden administration have flooded this country with no immigration process at all. So now let me go to the Western section. I don't think West understand the cultural differences. So if you look at Sweden's rape statistics, 47.7% rapists are migrants, foreign-born migrants. If you look at UK, 1/5 of the suspected rapists are immigrants. It is giving us, the people like us who are legal immigrant, law-abiding citizens, a terrible name in the name of immigration, in the name of cultural assimilation, in the name of multiculturalism. And if you look at 2021 data of UK, 91 of these immigrants were accused of murder, 406 were accused of rapes. And these are happening literally against blonde European women. And recently, I'm sure you have heard about Rishi Sunak's agenda in terms of stop the boat, because these rapists, they get caught, they sometimes are deported, but they come into the country through boat. So Rishi Sunak has started this agenda of stop the boat. And somebody has spoken about the grooming gang situation, mostly Pakistani men that are committing this grooming agenda of blonde European British women. In Sweden, there's a rape statistics of 2 per day. A young blonde woman is getting raped at 2 per day. I don't know whether America or European countries are going into a normalizing or situation where we are going to normalize rapes and child trafficking and assault. So connecting the dot now, I'd like to bring this attention to you that I, as a Hindu and legal immigrant to this country, I'm extremely proud that I can bring the women empowerment that I have learned and observed in the Hindutva religion. No other civilization today worships a woman equally along with the male counterpart. And individually, a woman is worshipped. There's no other better example in terms of women equality and women empowerment other than Hindutva at this point of time. So anybody who's targeting India in terms of women are not safe or minorities are not safe, I want you to listen to this. I hope this message go to you that we as a civilization have been the one sheltering persecuted people. So the hypocrisy is coming out, and these days of social media, the information is going to go out. As personally speaking, I get attacked constantly, and a lot of entities are now behind me because I'm in the public space and I'm in the political arena. They target me because of my conservatism. They target me because I'm super outspoken in terms of the hypocrisy. So I hope that all the women who are here, we together can amplify the message and also call out the hypocrisy in the West and the role of media and politicians who are donning hijab when women in Iran are getting killed constantly. And the politicians in America, Sweden, and etc., they're donning hijab and objectifying the women. And also from a perspective of cultural shift in America, I've recently seen the transgenderism and the drag queens taking tips from little children, 1 year, 2 year old, in their panties. I think, and I'm failing to understand where the West is going. So hopefully we can stop objectifying the women and also equally worship them and equally value them. I'm so proud that I'm not a half the men, and I've never been told by my family or my society when I was growing up in India that I cannot achieve, because I cannot achieve the height of my ability because I'm a woman. So with that, I salute to all strong women in this forum and outside. Please stand together. And I think we are the only one who can stop this hypocrisy and objectifying of women. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Purnima-ji, again, for very strong words and being absolutely uninhibited in calling out the duplicity that we see before us in terms of prioritizing what constitutes women's rights and human rights. We are at a stage where we are totally confused as a society on how to help women. And even though there are these grand advertisements and United Nations campaigns that plaster, celebrate women everywhere, our voices are being taken away because it's being replaced by gender fluidity. And yes, they have their own struggles. They need to earn their space. We will support their individuality, but we cannot erase centuries of struggle by women that continue to this day because of extremism to accommodate that, I would say, Western lifestyle. You don't see this type of a confusion in the actual societies that are struggling for resources, that are struggling for the rights. This is a luxury that the Western society has. So with that, I want to see if Shakila ji is up to it to introduce our next speaker, Deepti Mahajan. Is Shakila ji still here? Okay, so I will go ahead if that's okay. All right, so I am very privileged to have worked with Deepti Mahajan on an extremely important pioneering project that has shed the light specifically on the plight of the minority girls in Pakistan. Deepti ji is at the forefront of women's rights issues and in formulating real advocacy approaches to encourage our lawmakers to take a stand. So Deepti ji, please go ahead and give us your thoughts on this International Women's Day talk.
Namaste, namaste everyone. I'm honored to be part of this esteemed panel. Like Parodi said, some of them I work with very closely, and others I've been following very closely. As we sit here in this age and time and discuss human rights issues, women's issues, minority issues openly on a panel, there are little girls being violated somewhere. And Laibaji, I salute you for coming out and talking about the issues around you. It takes a lot of courage, and I absolutely have no words. My name again is Deepti Mahajan, and thanks to other panelists earlier, Zafarji, for sharing some statistics. I represent a project called Chingari. It stands for Coalition for Hindu Girls Abducted and Their Rights. And Mangaji, I get a chance to personally thank you today for standing to the Pakistani ambassador with the Chingari poster in DC last year. Thank you so much. And while we celebrate International Women's Day in a free country, I would like to share that just 2 months, close to 3 months now, into 2023, more than 20 Hindu girls have been, or minority girls, I would say, have been abducted and forced to convert in Pakistan. And these are just the known numbers. In recent floods in Pakistan, the minorities were hit very hard. We heard incidents of girls and women getting raped for half kg of rice. Chingari is a social justice campaign aimed towards bringing awareness across the globe about the atrocities that young innocent minority girls face in Sindh, Pakistan every single day. Today we have been talking about the underage girls of Hindu, Christian, Sikh communities who are being kidnapped, converted to Islam against their will, subjected to sexual abuse from men who are decades older than them. And these missing girls, they must be going through unimaginable horror, being taken away from their families, gang raped, sold off. And this horrible practice has been going on since the partition of India and Pakistan. Basically in an effort to rid Pakistan of its religious minority communities. And openly, like yesterday, somebody was saying on one of the news channel or somewhere that the Hindus have, or minorities have, no right to celebrate their festivals in Pakistan. So communities, a couple of generations have been wiped off in the last 75 years. As a mother of small kids, it makes me sick to my stomach thinking about what parents go through these, when their girls go through these atrocities, and they cannot even see their children back, like they don't get them back, they don't see them again in their lifetime. Shobhaji mentioned some of these victims, and Richa ji also talked about Chanda Mehraj, a 15-year-old girl who was abducted in broad daylight. So there was an international hue and cry. She was recovered, but handed back to her abductors. And of course, her family doesn't have her back yet. Then we see videos of parents crying their hearts out outside the courts, outside the houses of the abductors. So you know your daughter, your sister is inside that house, and you just cannot do anything about that. I come from a family that is like, if there are no words. The place we come from, I was, I could eat anything, I could wear anything, I could study anything. I was able to come across the world to study here in United States. And just these horrific stories are mind-boggling. Like how do we live with this information in this time and age? And the UN Human Rights Commission of European Parliament, US State Department, ABC reports, they estimate 1,000 girls from religious minorities are forced to convert, or they are just abducted. 3 girls a day. Let that sink in. 3 girls a day. They never return home. Now, these young girls, every single day, their names are changed, their childhood is stolen, Majority of these cases, they result in, legally forced to stay with abductors. So they don't even get a chance to see their families. This practice is, as we all know, clear violation of human rights, destroying the futures of young women who hold the potential to positively impact the society at some point, but they never see that. There have been some achievements, I would say, or things that have been done in recent past. December 9th, 2022, UK government sanctioned the cleric Mia Mittu, who's called the Conversion Factory. 13th August 2022, Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, the ex-Prime Minister, admitted that there were forced conversions of young non-Muslim girls that are being carried out in the country. June 2022, Pakistan was labeled as a country of particular interest. So these are the things that we have to make sure we work globally, we work together to put these pressures on these governments to do something about this, these minorities girls, like marriages, child marriages, forced conversions, abductions, sexual violence. That's like violating your basic human right, eliminating any sense of control that you have on your life and decisions. And the trauma that these girls and the families have gone through in last few decades is unimaginable. Michelle Obama said, there is no limit to what we as women can accomplish. What about these helpless girls? They will never get any chance to strive for anything. So with combined efforts, enough voice, enough global voice, we are all here from different parts of the world. We can all work together and make things change, hopefully. And I would like lastly say that, charity begins at home. And like Zafarji was saying, women ourselves, we should be, the least that we can do is inculcate the right values in our upcoming generations, and our sons and our kids, to be righteous, to do the right things. Again, I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk today. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Deepti ji, and to the Chingari team for doing such an important work on raising this awareness, and also for Mangaji that partnered with you to basically take on the Pakistani establishment head on for the first time on US soil. And we know how powerful that lobby is, and we can't shy away from it anymore. That is why it's very important for women to be at the forefront, to represent women and children's voices. And that's why we have this loose collective that, Rita ji and we are working on to make sure that all the issues not only find voice in the international space, but we find the right way of getting action. We have to figure out a way to empower the people that are stuck in the societies. I can only imagine the absolute fear that they live in, first for their own safety and then for their own families. Some of the stories that Deepti ji related to, and we heard from other people, the victims are probably also held back by the fact that if they cross the line, if they try to break free, something's going to happen to their families. And we know that for the little minority girls, we know that for the Baloch and Pashtun citizens and the enforced disappearances. And we know that about the women that are just trying to get by and be normal women in Afghanistan, and they can't even do that. So we have to be at the forefront. There's no looking back, the situation that we're in right now. So our next speaker that I'd like to introduce is Miss Jia Manjari. She is a social and political analyst, equal rights activist, CEO and co-founder of the World Democracy Index, Board of Director on the Canadian Hindu Foundation, and brand ambassador for Beti Foundation. So to tell us a little bit more about her work and how we can support her and her voice is Jia Manjari. Go ahead.
Namaste. Hello, everyone. This is Jia Manjari, and as described by ma'am, I've been associated with many of the panelists who are there, like Shobha ji, Richa Gautam ji, and many more who are working eagerly for the equal rights and women rights. So I have been listening, all panelists, we have been discussing about the problems which are happening in the South Asian region with female, or females are suffering with the problems. So I've created data, I've been writing, all this now, what all been discussed. So first of all, I want to question, US agencies and like WHO, who him itself says that, underage girls' marriages are not healthy, but at the same time, they allow 15 years old girl marriage is valid in Islam. Why they don't stand for that? And why we are not forcing them to stand for that? We are the female. We have right to fight for our good and bad. We are having the right to fight for our upcoming girls who are going to be strong women tomorrow. But we're not doing that. We have to look ahead, female health mentally, physically, emotionally, and socially. South Asian region, of course, it is a primary problematic region nowadays because many of the countries are following Sharia law. Like Pakistan, like Afghanistan. So that is, of course, a problem. And UAE as well. In the, many of the region, they are following Islamic law. In India also, we have, Muslim personal law. You can just think of Muslim personal law. A country like which is called democratic country is having a different law for a different community, which sounds like a joke, but we are facing it. The girls are facing it. A girl who is forcefully converted or taken away with the family and have been facing a lot of problem when she goes to the court back for the justice, she has to face that personal law of Muslims. For whole of her life, she has been working for the country, for the society, for the betterment and upliftment of the country. But at the same time, we are not considering her human rights. Her identity has been snatched when she is, getting married to a different, religion marriage. When she is giving up her own religion, religion is the identity, name is the identity. She has to give up her name. She has to give up her religion. She has to give up her, identity. So the problem is, what I can see is about we as a female fighters or warriors. First of all the female has been exponential good and great. You all are doing extremely good, especially Professor Naila Kadri and Sarah ji. Thank you. And as well as the founder of this organization. So I would like to thank you for raising this issue. I really wanted to raise this issue till the US because all these agencies are coming to India and talking about it. What are we doing? Just need to remove this. Yeah. So what is happening here? I just wanted to raise this issue till there because all the reports which are coming to India, all the movement which are coming to India are coming from either UK or US. Now, in US, they do not talk about the equality. They do not talk about the mental or emotional health of a female. But in India, when it is coming about, some girls in Rajasthan, Haryana, or some some villages, extremely remote villages, they definitely raise issues about the child marriages. Then why they are sleeping on this issue? Why are they sleeping on this issue? Like, female genital mutation. Do you know about, I am talking about the UNICEF's report of 2016. They have not issued the report after that, or maybe it is not available to me in India right now. But FGM has been, they have done a kind of research and a kind of drill where they have checked in 30 countries, 200 million girls have been undergone with FGM. Just imagine, just like men, they do this, female vaginal mutation. They have to cut it, they have to stitch it just because that, she cannot have sex before marriage. She's not having that human liberty to be a human. She doesn't have the human right to live like a human. Just think about. I'm talking about the agencies who are giving reports about Indian population and Indian demography. 80% of FGM is done by the Muslims. Means every fifth female has undergone by this. Just think about the cruelty of this. After that, I would go to, and mostly it is happening in India, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Somalia, and several parts of UAE as well, where the old tribal, communities are living. They are following still this kind of thing. Now, I would go on this Black Lives Matter issue. When we are talking about females, when we are talking about, regions, so it has happened in US, Black Lives Matter, but many of the Nigerian or African girls and even in the skirts of South Asian countries, there are many small continents where Black people are living. The girl has been taken away from the family. They've been sold by family as a slave, and they have been purchased. They are being purchased since many years in UAE, but nobody is making a noise about that purchase and sale of a body, of a human body. Just can you imagine that? This is a crime, heinous crime. And that is what is happening. Nobody is talking about that. Now I will go why this kind of crime is happening. In Arabic countries, Taharrush Gamia, if you people are aware about, this is a kind of, a kind of rape, which is happening openly by mob of a female, and which is valid. So how we are as a female, as a community, as a global village community, we are allowing these things to happen. We have to have a kind of list, whatever is happening against females shall be in light. We have to have more of females like all of us in the policy making and politics to raise this issue, to make it highlighted in the global society and global agencies and global forums like health forums and then legal forums and then liberty forums and anything like. So I have taken out few of the things which is happening at the land of law of Sharia, like Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran. Taharrush is one. Second is nikah mutta. Nikah mutta is something where a girl can be married to any age of man till even 70, 90 or whatever, and there is some amount they have to pay to the family. That's a contract marriage, and that marriage used to call it a marriage for the pleasure. So till the time you are getting the pleasure, that marriage goes. Once you are feeling out of pleasure or like you're feeling bored, that marriage you can break. And in this case, in Hyderabad, in Lucknow, in Old Mumbai, in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, of course, Chinese people are getting these kind of marriages. And people who are there, of course, they must have data. I haven't collected much of data because I've been over listening. The data is, of course, you guys are doing fabulous job with the data. So I just gone through the causes, and then I'm discussing about these are the reasons and how we can come out of this problem, and how we can, improvise some solution for creating a kind of checklist where we all of us can go together, creating a foundation, creating a council, creating a kind of global council for women's rights. Of course, there are many, but they are not raising this issue which you are raising, and I'm really happy to be part of this here. So halala is there, triple talaq is there. Fortunately, in India, being Narendra Modi ji here, he understood the pain of females, and he abolished this kind of criminal law against the female. But of course, in South Asian region, in many countries like Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, and UAE, and many other, it is happening again that they have to forcefully sleep with a man, and then again they can marry the same man. So just think about the physical cruelty they are doing with female, and what kind of mental trauma she has to go after happening all this. Now I'll come on the equal rights. When we talk about, are men are supposed to do all these kind of things for getting married with the same female? No, I am an equal right activist, and when I talk about, I do not talk that we being a female are higher than man, and man are higher than us. Of course, we are equal here, and we are here to support each other. But definitely, in Islam, why am I talking about Islam? Is of course that after Hindus, Muslim is growing. Muslim is a community which is growing in India. Pakistan, of course, our neighbor, is a Muslim country. Bangladesh is a Muslim country. Then Afghanistan, then then Iran, then UAE, all are the Muslim countries. Many of the countries are having the same law. I'm talking about the law prospects and law in the same land where I'm sitting right now. It is not having the same law for the Muslim females, and it is not having the same law for the normal females, or like Hindu, Sikhs, or other Buddhism and Jainism. So, what is the right of a female on her ancestors' property? They're having no right on their ancestors' property, and they can just claim to be or to live in their ancestors' property till the time they are not married, and they can ask for the maintenance. So I heard, one of our panelists was saying about females are forced to go and earn their livelihood after losing their husbands and their brothers, and people, because they have no law in the Sharia where they can go and claim that I don't have anyone, and I have full right on my father's property. I need to have the right of that property. I can at least secure myself financially or secure myself economically. So that is lacking. Why that is lacking? We have to have the proper vision of it. So a wife gets one eighth of part of her husband's property if she has children, and the rest of the portion of the property goes to the siblings of her husband and the parents of her husband. So she is not having the equal rights, which are actually a Hindu female or Jain female or Buddha female is having in Indian society. Or if you talk about, community wise, if you talk about the religious wise, so even in Christianity, even in Hinduism, even in Jainism, even in Sikhism, everybody gets the equal right. But the only Muslim females are not having the equal rights in the property. 1/4 property, if she is not having any children. Suppose somebody has got married and she is not having any children, and she got widowed. She cannot claim, 1/8 part of the property. She has to have only 1/4 part of the property, which will be really less. After that, if
The man has got only wife 10, 1/4. If the man has got many marriages, then 1/6 part of the property only she can take or claim. Just think about that she has given her life, she has given everything, she is, and somebody who has come from the interreligious marriage, just think about that female, where she is getting all the privileges, where she is not leaving her own identity, where she is not forced to leave her own human right, which is voting to someone or some party, which is worshipping any of the god which she wished to, which is education, which is working openly in any work environment, or choosing any or any kind of occupation, which is going out freely, which is wearing any kind of clothes she wishes to. She's leaving everything, and then she is coming in this anti multi-religion, or like, sorry, the different religious marriage, and this is what she is getting out of this. I'm talking about this because of course love jihad is increasing day by day, and the problem is with our females, they are not even knowing that they do not have the equal rights. Okay. Now, so this is kind of double standard law, which is everywhere, not in South Asian region, it is globally, wherever the Islam or wherever the Sharia is ruling. Now, I would request all the females to be part of this global movement and write down. We shall definitely be in touch with each other, and we shall create a documentation, right? And definitely we shall go to the UN Council and UN, the diaspora and the UN organizations, and talking about the female rights. Third and fourth thing which I wish to communicate is women helping women, women rising women, women supporting women. Being a woman, our first duty is to support women. I have seen various women working as an activist, and they are working as a politician also. But similar way, we are not supporting each other. Must be like we are not standing. So we have to be very close. We are very less. Just think about that. Zafar Bhai is the one person out of many, as a male, who is more feminist, is standing for us and created this kind of platform where we are talking in India, where we are discussing about these kind of issues. We are talking about the problems and solution. So the basic problem is that strong female has to create other strong females. In the policy making, in the political and economical diaspora, we have to definitely ensure that other women shall be part of it. Other women shall be, invited and more appreciated and more empowered and more, more getting back and support to create this kind of female-friendly environment. And I would definitely not say feminist, because in feminism, definitely I can see there are so many kind of, we can say, groups are running in the colleges, in the universities, in our society. They are actually not feminist. Feminism cannot be something where we are discarding our religious belief, where we are discarding our values, where we are discarding everything and talking about only economic empowerment. For me, female empowerment or women empowerment is something which is overall, emotionally, physically, mentally, and financially. So the exponential growth is required, and we have to work together, crossing the boundaries, crossing the borders. Being female is a power. That's what in Durga Saptati we used to read about. We read about and we chant about that Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Nari Rupena Sanstha. Namastasya, Namastasya, Namastasya Namo Namah. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shakti Rupena Sanstha. Namastasya, Namastasya, Namastasya Namo Namah. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Prakriti Rupena Sanstha. Namastasya, Namastasya, Namastasya Namo Namah. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shakti Rupena Sanstha. Namastasya, Namastasya, Namastasya Namo Namah. The power is only female. Females are the light of any society. Females are the one who change and create society. And for creating change also for the female has to come up front. Women have to be the front leaders. Women cannot bank upon on the men. Women cannot go to the society and ask that we need this kind of change and please create that change for us. We have to create change. We have to get the equality. At the time of raising our own sons, we have to tell them that you are not higher than, or you are not much more than a female. You are equal to a female. That is what we have to do. We have to start doing that. And I can see many more these kind of incident living in India, living anywhere, and going across the globe. I can see that these kind of problems are there. Of course, I do understand physical problems are there, that security of the female people are, of course, worried about. For that, we have to create Lakshmi Bai. I am working with the state upcoming election in the state of Madhya Pradesh, and I appreciate the CM of Madhya Pradesh, and he has done many good work and launched many of the schemes for women empowerment, like for encouraging female childbirth. He has started a scheme, Ladli Lakshmi Yojana, where a pregnant woman is getting some amount when she is given birth to a female or a child, or for the education, for the nutritious food, and for the admission for the further studies. Ladli Lakshmi, Ladli Behna, and there are many of the Yojana, schemes that they are doing, and I've been part of the panel of the NGOs where they're going to create some other things also. And definitely, I want that women empowerment model of the Madhya Pradesh shall be everywhere. And in India, when I've been listening that in India also female has been discriminated. Female have been getting so much of problems, and but what my observation is, since 10 years there are hell lot of schemes have been given by PMO and CMO for like Ujjwala Yojana, for like Har Ghar Jal Yojana, where I have read in the Taliban, Pakistan, the females are walking for the miles to get the clean water, but we are here privileged after PM Modi, that we are opening the tap and at least clean water we are getting for drinking. So for Ujjwala Yojana, definitely where the female were having tuberculosis because of the smoke, but now we are having gas cylinders supply to all the families, village family, to the remotest of the villages, they're having it. So that's a good part which has happened in India, and I want that part shall be established and exposed well in the international media also. My female friends and activists and warriors who are sitting here, I request you all that the kind of picture have been created by the West media, we shall definitely reply them that till 70s their females were not having even voting rights, but here till 70s we were having many female warriors, and many of the queens who were running the states. So we shall not feel low when we have been in kind of chaos, or they create kind of kind of prepared agenda to subjugate us. We're talking about like this, that females in India are suffering. females in India are much more safer than the West and the Islamic countries, for sure. We are having equal rights since beginning till now. At least we have privilege where we if we are reporting that some female have got raped, at least she has no need to get 4 witnesses to prove that.
Gia, I do want to make sure that we have time for our last speaker. And thank you for the very, very detailed presentation and touching upon all the elements in the Indian context that most people are not aware of. And we do hope to engage with you as well on the ground. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to move on to our next speaker.
Definitely. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Zafar Bhai. Thanks a lot to all of you for listening me patiently. And thanks for the wonderful work you all are doing. And I would love to assist going forward. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So our final speaker for today on this auspicious occasion is Ms. Naila Kadri Balak. And she has worked diligently for human rights in Balochistan. And she is the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister of the government of Balochistan in exile. She joined the Baloch rights movement in 1973 from the platform of Baloch Student Organization as the first female member of that organization. She has led the youth movement in Balochistan, and she has had arrest warrants issued against her. She continues her fight for the emancipation and the voice of the Baloch people, and I would like to give the spotlight to her to share her final thoughts and her struggles and how we can help spotlight the Baloch freedom movement. Thank you and welcome, Naila ji.
Thank you so much. I'm really honored to be part of this beautiful forum where so many brave women, especially Mangaji is here. We are, as our feminine energy has combined here, and it has become a huge power if you all can feel it. And the masculine energy with us as Carl and Zafarjan, we really appreciate them, and we know that feminine energy flows in their physical bodies too, because feminine energy is the energy of creativity and love and connection, and it is in every human body. It's male, female, or transgender. And so start with tributing to all great women on this world, on this globe, who have poured and who have contributed for this human civilization, and the brave women who always have stood in front of all the cruel monsters and the forces who have tried to crush humanity, and especially women folk, because whoever tries to control a community, they first attack on women. As we all were talking about what's going on in Pakistan, what is going on in Afghanistan, what's going on in Iran, in the name of a religion. These are inhumans, these are monsters, and what they are doing with women and how the world is silent. You start with the Hindu woman. When you are working, like my friends of Chingari here, it's not only that they are attacking Hindu women, Hindu girls. Their basic agenda is to grab those lands, because the lands where these Sindhi, these indigenous Sindhi population is living, they are Hindu. They are the daughters and sons of Sindh. They are living on a very strategic piece of land. And that piece of land is wanted by Pakistan Army. It is not the solution to take people as refugees into India India is doing very good to giving place to those Hindu families who have left Sindh. But this is not the solution. They have the right to live on the land of Sindhu Desh. And all the Hindus who have been thrown out of Sindhu Desh in the name of an Islamic country like Pakistan, they all have the right to live on the lands of Sindhu Desh. Fortunately, there were never any right of on a basis of religion in Baluchistan. We have a different kind of society. We never had any right in the name of any religion. The Hindu Balochs and the Sikh Balochs and the Muslim Balochs, we all are Baloch, and we all are fighting against the Pakistani occupation on Baluchistan. We all are together for that. And one thing I just add in this 8th March program, not only Bibi Nani of Bolan and not only the Nani Hinglaj of Baluchistan are our spiritual powers. The first urban civilization on this earth, according to till today's knowledge, was created by Baloch and Kurdish women or women of Baluchistan. And this all, it was like 11 to 25,000 years. And the rivers of Sabhyata, or the rivers of civilization, especially music and dance, have traveled from the region of Gandhara to Kumari Nadu, and before that, in between that, Indus civilization comes. So we all are connected. Civilizations never flow with into air; it flows with humans. So we all are same people. We all are facing a attack on our civilization in the name of religion, in the name of a brand of people who are trying to control us. Today, if you look at Iran, 52 schools, the state of Iran, the government of Iran, they have poisoned schoolgirls, 52 schools. They are observing poisons. The girls are poisoned by a gas, and many are died. They don't want girls to study. What they have done with Masa Amini, and that revolution has started. I'm part of that revolution, that protest now. 30th Saturday is today. That continuously we are on the protests against this regime. We don't want any religious regime that crushes humanity. We don't want any such religion. It's better to keep away from religion. Keep the religion for yourself, not make it as a tool to crush us, to kill us, to rape us, to convert us. And what's going on in Pakistan? Pakistan's monstrous army, the rapist army. You know what happened in Bangladesh? 100,000 women got raped by this monstrous army. Thanks to India for rescuing Bangladesh. But there's a question that why Indian government left those rapists, these 93,000 war criminals, back to Pakistan instead of sending them to International Court of Justice, or they should be handed over to Bangladesh for a trial for their war crimes. But they were sent back to Pakistan with honor, with garlands. And they were unleashed on Baluchistan. From that day till today, Baluchistan is under these rapists, direct control of that rapist army. Isn't it a matter of concern for the women of the world who are sitting in United Nations, who are sitting in US Congress and European Parliament, or who are sitting in Indian Parliament. Who is responsible? Pakistan Army, they are taking away the whole villages. The whole villages are vanished. They're taking women as keeping their sex tools. They are taking organs, eyes, heart, lungs, kidneys of Baluch people, the abducted and forced disappeared Baluch people, and they are organ harvesting. Do they deserve to live, to breathe on this piece of earth? For God's sake. They are abducting Baluch educated girls because our women, as from the day first till today, Baluchistan, from Mehrgarh, 25,000 years till today, Baluchistan was a matrilineal society until today. The brave women are called Sherazal, lionesses. You have seen the Sphinx in Egypt, but there is a Sphinx on Baluchistan mountains, maybe older than that. It's a face of a woman and body of a lioness. The brave women, it's a symbol of brave women. And today, the liberation movement of Baluchistan from the occupation of Pakistan is led by Baluch women. And Baluch women are targeted by Pakistan Army. They are abducting our girls. Now, Mahal Baluch, she's a young mother of two minor girls, and her husband was also killed by Pakistan Army, and her brother was killed by Pakistan Army, and now they have abducted her. That we have found her with a suicide jacket. They came to her home in front of guests, in front of her daughters, in front of her mother. They have picked her and took, because she was participating in some protests for the safe recovery of enforced disappeared Baluchs. Before that, they have picked so many Baluch women. They have picked Habiba Baluch. She's a poetess. She's an artist. They picked on the same charges. They picked Noor Jahan from Makran, that they are suicide attackers, and we have found suicide jackets with them, but they couldn't prove that. So attack on Baluch women is actually the worst kind of genocide they are doing. So Baluchistan is going through genocide today. In Iran's situation, if you see, there are more than 400 people got killed, and around 300 of them are Baluch, including women and children. And it all started with Masa Amini, a Kurdish girl, and Maho Baluch, a 15 years Baluch girl who was raped by the police chief of Chabahar. Kubri Hoth and Samina Buledi are two Baluch university students. These young girls are in Iranian jails just because they were protesting for this Maho Baluch, against Maho Baluch rape and Masa Amini. So the need is, and thank you so much, Zafar Jan. Thank you so much, all these beautiful and brave ladies. We are together today, but it shouldn't be from conference to conference. We should get together, and I agree with Mangaji 100%, that we should now form a formal alliance in between the organizations we are working. These organizations should form a formal alliance, and we should come with power, and we should, whatever we are working, if we pool our efforts and energies and resources, we can bring a result that can be measured, a result that we can see that, yes, this has been done. So tribute to all powerful women, tribute to the feminine energy, and this month of March is for our resistance and our promises that we will keep it up. I remember Karima Baloch today. She got killed by the secret agencies of Pakistan in Canada. And the women like Mahal and Kubri and Samina and Zarina Marie in the torture cells of Pakistani state and Iranian state, and the women and girls in Afghanistan. They are deprived of education. They are deprived of any right to breathe as human. Our solidarity with that, and salute to the women of India for their courageous march, for their courageous achievements. These are achievements for the women of the world. We are together and we celebrate your achievements as our own achievements. And we hope that we will march together for a change, for a peaceful world where no woman can be converted by force. No woman can be raped in the name of religion or religious practices, and equal rights for everybody, prosperity and peace on this earth. Thank you so much. Happy Women's Day.
Thank you so much, Naila ji. Very inspiring and very calming, even though the impact was quite a bit. And you brought up an extremely painful part of history, which was the Bangladesh genocide. And one of the documented instances of weaponizing violence against women as a tool, instrument for war. So what can we do? Well, I am going to first give the floor to Zafarji to wrap up. And I wanted to let the panelists know that if you want to stick around a little bit longer after we end our live stream, we will stay on for a few more minutes if you want to exchange notes, contacts, and other things. But for now, Zafarji, thank you so much for bringing us together on this platform, and the concluding remarks from you. You're still on mute, Zafarji.
Thank you so much. And I will conclude with these final lines from Rigveda 10:1913. O women, these mantras are given to you equally as to men. May your thoughts too be harmonious. May your assemblies be open to all without discrimination. Your mind and consciousness should be harmonious too. I give you these mantras equally as to men, and give you all in equal powers to absorb the full powers of these mantras for betterment of this world. So when we are saying that our 15,000, 20,000 years,
Okay, that's a bit. Ganda maru nisana ke chal.
I was supposed to mute everyone, then the speaker.
Yeah, so our beautiful culture and history will be the savior for the world if we will focus on our roots and culture and promote it around the world. I believe that women society or women only can save this world if the women like you and few thousand more will come and join hands, not only for the betterment of women, but for the men also. Thank you. Thank you and welcome. I salute you all.
I want to thank each and every speaker that joined our panel discussion today for their time, for their thoughts, and for their inspiration. As I mentioned, when we stop the live stream, please stay if you would like to share some additional input. And I will work with Zafarji to see how we can keep moving forward and actually get measurable outcomes. Thank you, everyone. Stay united, stay safe, stay strong.
I would request, especially Zafar Bhai, to share the coordinates of each of the warriors. Definitely, I would not say female, I would not say feminist, I would not say women, I would say warriors. Of course, we are fighting for the equality. And it would be really great that a WhatsApp group or somewhere a kind of forum can be created where we can communicate with each other. So we can create a platform with a